Spice Girls first hit the scene, I was in my early teens, so it had quite a big impact on me. You know, I was massively into pop music. Take That had just split up, I was devastated, so I was kind of looking for a new obsession. And I remember just being really drawn into them.
They were so much more exciting, exuberant and mainstream, and at the time the economy was just looking for something a bit more fun. At the beginning I was a little bit sceptical about who these girls were, but very, very quickly I just kind of got, it was just very catchy and people just loved them and you had to just get into the vibe.
I looked at how they behaved with one another and it just seemed so genuine. Their friendship seemed so real. And I think that was really wonderful as a 10-year-old girl to be like, oh, this is how women treat each other. They're super supportive, they are each their individual character.
Shortly after they kind of emerged, I worked in consumer magazines myself, and particularly in celebrity and entertainment titles. They wouldn't even consider trying to sell magazines with girls on the front cover. That wasn't really the done thing. And of course they became successful and the rest is history. They sold millions of magazines.
Having, you know, worked in advertising and seen the sort of, well, been able to lift the bonnet on how brands behave, you can argue that girl power was just a brand idea, but I think it only works if that brand believes in what it's saying.
When they came on the scene, it was before things like Snapchat existed. A lot of what we probably saw back then was very carefully controlled, and they completely railed against that. They were quite, in many ways, uncontrolled, well, seemingly on the surface. And I think that that made them really attractive to brands because, you know, by association, brands could feel quite connected to their audiences and could tap into that realness and use it to their advantages.
I think for me, they were the ultimate umbrella brand. You know, they were able to create so much more noise by being individual personalities within an overall Spice Girls brand. I mean, you know, they just took over the world when it came to merchandising as well as sponsorship, and I just don't think we've seen that level of celebrity endorsement since.
In terms of brand partnerships with the music industry, it's quite groundbreaking. Giving away the single for free was, you know, Pepsi's one of their most successful campaigns ever at a time when, you know, free music wasn't really a thing as it is now. But I think what's more interesting is the sort of impact and the legacy they probably had on media and marketing campaigns in general. So I'm not saying that if it wasn't for the Spice Girls we wouldn't have, you know, brilliant female-centric campaigns now, but I certainly think, you know, things like This Girl Can, Dove Real Beauty owe a lot to, you know, groups like the Spice Girls really opening up that sort of agenda within media.
One of the amazing things that really stood out for me was that even, you know, 20 years on, the Sustainable Goals video that's just been spoofed around the Wannabe video, such an iconic video recreated that's going to move people on a global stage.